Hi everyone, hope you all are doing really well. So this is API testing interview questions part 2. So those who are very new to this channel, please subscribe to my channel. And I hope you guys are doing great. You are preparing really well. And in this video, we're gonna have some of the live examples of how API works. So if you are new and you don't know about the API, so I think this video is for you. And if you're seeing it for the very first time, there's another video of API testing interviews, and please check my channel. There are a lot of videos which is related to interview, and that will really help you out. So let's go ahead with the video. So yes, last time I was explaining to you about how APIs works, and like how APIs works in, like, we have taken the example of MMT. So here also I'm gonna explain you about the MMT. So if you see here, like what we will be doing it here, like I'm going to my Gmail, I've opened the MMT here, and then maybe we'll be creating some account, or maybe my biz account or something like that. Let it be. So I'll just leave it like this. I don't want to log in, and maybe I'll just have to see. So this is how MMT looks. So what we do it, so you have to just right click. Okay, we will be learning how we can find out APIs and things like that. So here, if you go to inspect for the elements and everything, so here we do it, right? Inspect. So here also we will see the network. So right now you don't see any of the APIs is being triggered. Okay, so here if I'll be selecting something like Delhi to Bengaluru, I've put in a departure date of 26 July, and now if I'll click on search, as I said, like, see, so many APIs is being triggered here. Let's learn about see here they are showing. So these are the APIs, and let's learn more about this. Okay, let's learn more about this one, and then probably I'm gonna explain you more about this one. So you will see the headers. So now you have got the the prices and everything. So Delhi to Bangalore and everything, we will see it here in this one. So this is the API which is being triggered, which is called as, so we'll see what all has to be. This is the URL, or which consists of resource, query parameters, or the base URI. Everything is there. So we will also have the more understanding when we understand more about the project. So here you see here, right, the itinerary equals to Delhi to Bangalore, and the date and the trip type. These are the query parameters. So those after question mark, whatever details are there, it is called query parameters. And then this is your HTTP is a host, okay, and then www.makemytrip.com is your base URI, and then flight or search, that is your resource. So the resource URL. So that is how it has to be. So there will be a more description about it. I'm just giving you the details about it, that this is how the URL is being configured. There's a port and everything is also there. So right now we will be having this that HTTPS is also a protocol, or like it is hosted on a protocol, right? HTTP, those all things has been like big terminology. That is also a good subject to, it's also a different subject to talk about. Right now we are into API, so I'm just giving you the brief what I was talking about, and I'll be just getting into what all has to be there. So here the request method is get. So we are getting the information, like we are not creating anything. I'm not creating any account. If I'll be creating any account, it will be post. So I'm getting them, retrieving the information. So that is called it, that is how it is shows as get here. Okay, and the status code is 200. Since I got the information here, so I'll be like the status code is 200. Okay, so it is like combinations of your request and response. Right now there is also a response header. This status code is 200. Okay, and then there is a response header. So in the response header there will be like many things, like content length, content encoding, everything is being there, and these are also very important things to study about. Right now, see, the cookie means it is setting the like set cookie, that is, it is like setting the authorization for you. Like this is setting the authorization, like you can able to access, like as you remember my previous diagram wherein we will be going via server to database. So to access the data from the database, you need some authorization. So how you will be sending a cookie, so whatever application you will be using it to get the data, right? I'm using Make My Trip. So Make My Trip is also like, it is for allowing every user, but somebody should not go and hack it, right? So it will be like a valid cookie. So somebody, if taking the valid information from the database, so it will be a valid cookie which has already been set, that for so and so users, this is being set, this is the cookie will be going, so it is presetted, we don't have to do it. So now will be seeing the payload. So payload, it will be like what itinerary type is Delhi to Bangalore and your date, trip type is 0, you have not PEX type, you have given like whatever you have put in the like information what is there, that like basic information of the user, that the string parameters, this is how it has to be go. Your payload will be going like this, and I think there is no preview. Okay, you can see it, and this is how the response you will get it. So this is how you will get the response, everything like how your page should look like, it is being into the response here, and then initiator and the timings and the cookie. So you can work more around it, and then here in header you can see all the things, and then I think this is a response. Generally in our applications, what we are testing it, we will be getting a response payload. Okay, so that all we will be seeing, and these are the cookies which is being set for everything. So this is how the APIs look like. So this is your request URL, request method, status code, and then your response header. Okay, everything should be there. Okay, your policy origin, everything will be going. Okay, everything has to be going like this is how your API look like. Okay, this is very basic question, that if you are not familiar with the API, this is how you can see the APIs and you can learn about it. Now we'll be going ahead with the questions. What is like here it is giving you the difference between so there are many tools which we are using it, like so Postman, SOAP UI Pro and Tosca, like while doing unit and API both target source code. And if an API method use base code in .NET, it is supporting tool is must have .NET. The supporting tool must support the .NET. Okay, there is a URL has been, API tool has been mentioned, like okay, the Catalan is a tool that can also be used. So what is the difference between API testing and the UI testing? Then again we'll be jumping into the interview questions. So you conduct API testing conducted by QA team, conducted by the development. Unit testing, so API testing is black box testing, unit testing is a white box testing. So API testing aim to assess the full functionality of the system. For it will be employed by end user, external developers who will use your APIs. And the unit test is used to verify whether each unit is in isolations perform as expected. Like the block of the code, they'll be checking it into the unit testing. So API testing often run after the build is ready and authors do not have access to the source code. And the unit testing, each of the code modules must be ensured to pass the unit test before build by developer. So that is, we have learned about it, like we know the API testing and the UI testing and the unit testing, but here we will be learning the different standard definitions of API testing. So API, what is the difference now, API testing and the UI testing? So API testing, API enables communication between two separate software systems. Okay, there are two software, like we have a client and we have a server, and then these are the two systems. We'll be establishing a communication between them. A software system implementing an API contains functions or subroutines that can be executed by another software system. Okay. On the other hand, like UI interface or the UI or the web UI, when we say about it, to testing refers to testing graphical interface, such as how user interact with an application. Testing the how we will be. This is called like API. We have seen the APIs right in the side, but UI also you have seen it right. How the drop downs and the everything in the Make My Trip application. So that is called UI testing. Okay, there's some problem with my mouse actually, so bear it. Okay, so images, layout, etc. UI testing basically focus on the look and feel of an application. That is what the line people are expecting, look and feel. So what are the major challenges faced in API testing? So many of them people are asked me, right, if you really worked in, so you know the major challenges. So if you've overcome the challenges in API testing, you can be confident in the API interview too. So they are parameter selections, I've told you, right? Parameter selections, parameter combinations, call sequencing, output verifications, and the validations. And another important challenge is providing input values, which is very difficult as GUI is not available in this case. So that's how it is, like input parameters, what you're putting in the validations, verification, and like you see the APIs, right? Little complex. So how to validate it? Like you see everything is fine. Like what are with the status code only you will not validate. There are various parameters, various things you will be validating apart from the status code. So those all things. So if you're really worked out, you know all those things. So if you're learning it, please focus on these areas also. Like what are the challenges and how to overcome those challenges. like that you can work upon and are good for the API interview. I think API interview will not as complex as Java, so it will also like is if you're good with Selenium, so I think it is as easy as Selenium. So that's it actually, but you need to know certain concept, not much concept. I think they were like hardly 10-15 concepts. So I think you are good with API testing. So what are these testing methods that come under API testing? So one of the common web API testing interview questions is about testing methods. Unit testing and the functional testing, load testing to test the performance under load, discovery testing to listen, create and delete the number of calls documented in an API, usability and reliability testing to get consistent result, security and penetration testing to validate all types of authentication, automation testing to create and run scripts that require regular APIs, end-to-end integrations, and the web UI testing, API documentation testing to determine its efficiency and effectiveness. Hear me guys. So why API testing is considered as a most suitable form of automation testing? So API testing is now preferred over GUI testing and is considered as a most suitable because it verifies all the functional very important. Like if all the APIs are working fine, your API definitely will work fine. So that is the thing. So all the like if you wanted to set certain flow, like registration is working fine or not. So you will check your API. So API will be more fast compared to your UI testing. So and you don't have to go again and again change the code or maintain the code when UI changes or anything. If your APIs are same, you can do work around that. Like if you wanted to register or anything, you will be doing. If let's say if there is an additional values being added and your register APIs you wanted to APIs will always take the data, whatever data it is there, into the system and then pass it on. So if your API is working fine, no matter if the number of data is increased or decreased or any changes, much changes in the applications will not affect the APIs. So it's good to check the APIs. It provides a more stable interface. It is easier to maintain and provide fast feedback. I think APIs is very fast compared to UI. So if you're running API testing until like 4 or 5 minutes, done, everything is done. But when you do UI, it will take around half an hour and everything. So yeah, that's the difference actually. So that's the reason I want you to guys, I have so much to share. So only thing is I cannot completely non-stop talking. So I rather come up with the slides and have the presentation if people don't want to listen to me, because sometimes I'll go a little faster. So at least they will read the slide and that will help you. So but also when I'm saying it, okay, there will be a lot of real things I'll be sharing it with you, which I have experienced it, and that is really helpful for you guys in terms of your interview, because many of the questions, even I give the interview and some of the questions which is out of context, and maybe that person has experienced it, I didn't. But I was not able to answer because I didn't experience that. So how if you didn't experience it, and if you're watching my video, I think you will have my experience too. So you will be having a 2% experience, and that will be helpful for you in cracking the interview. So what are the common API errors that often found it? So not only API fundamental questions, the interview also determine your knowledge and experience by asking about the API's error. In web API automations, also most common ones are missing module errors, documentation errors, parameter validations error, and some standard error expectations that the result is not so predicted, and occurrence of error can be seen for the same warnings are specified in the form of messages. There can be one or more warnings within an individual module. What kind of bugs that API testing would often find, that is also important. So missing or duplicate functionalities, fail to handle error conditions gracefully, stress reliability, security, unused flags, those kind of things has been identified by APIs. Not implemented error, inconsistent error handling, performance, multi-threading issues, improper error, like these are the issues that they'll find. So documenting the API, like here we have the common web API testing interview questions. So what is API documentation? So here we have already talked about much about API documentation. So the API documentation is complete, accurate, technical writing, giving instructions on how to effectively use and integrate with an API. It is compact reference manual that has all the information needed to work with the APIs and help you to answer all the API testing questions with details on functions, classes, written types, argument, and also examples and tutorials. So what are the API documentation templates that are commonly used? There are several available API documentation templates, helps to make the entire process simple, straightforward, which could be answered in your API testing interview, such as Swagger, Maya.Slate, FlatDoc, API Blueprint, REST Doc. web service API specification. So when writing an API document, what must be considered? Source of the content, document plan or sketch, delivery layout, information needed for every function in the document, automatic document creation programs. I think these are the things when you need it when you're documenting an API. Okay. How often are the API changed, and more importantly deprecated? Deprecated means destroy or removed, or it is not being used. So sometimes when you wanted to have like more data, or you wanted to have multiple changes, so you will delete the APIs or deprecate the API, or there is a lifeline of an API. Okay. APIs, especially modern RESTful APIs, are nice creations that can be certainly simplify and accelerate integration effort, which makes it more likely you will benefit from them. But APIs can do changes for various reasons, sometimes abruptly, and hence REST APIs do not differ from traditional integration method in this respect. So if an API call is obsolete and disappears, your procedure will interrupt. So it is important to understand how often the APIs you depend on change are deprecated. So that is very important to know, like you are working on any API, so when it is deprecated or if it is deprecated. So now there is like REST. REST is also very important API. We're gonna have more and more questions into the upcoming video. So REST is very important topic, guys, through a REST, SOAP and everything. So we're gonna cover most of the questions on REST in this video, and in the next video also we'll be having a more question on REST. REST is very important topic, guys, very important. Now I think it's being categorized like your 30% is maybe your 20% is Selenium, 30% is API, 40% is almost Java, and then 10% is manual testing. So I think that is how it is. So this is how your structure of an interview looks like. So this is how they will ask you questions. So API is also like contributing more into it. It's like 25. So 25 Selenium, 25% Selenium, 25% maybe out of 50, 25% Selenium, 25% is API. So how you are learning Selenium. Similarly, you have an API. So in APIs, what will questions? It will be coming from API testing, which we have explained it so far. So among those questions, you will be having 1 or 2 questions among those questions only, and there will be more questions on REST. So yeah, so 2-3 questions on the questions we have already discussed in this video and the previous video. 2-3 questions will be coming from that, and maybe you will have more questions on REST. So like the upcoming videos we will be having. So that's how. So in the we have discussed 26 questions for now. So in 26 questions there will be a chance like 1 or 2 questions are coming from these 26 questions. So it's a good filtration things which is being given it to you. So I think you prepare well, you understand well, and I think that will really help you out. So now we come to REST. So what is REST? REST is representational state transfer, is an architectural style for developing web services which is exploit the ubiquity of HTTP protocol and uses HTTP method to define action. It revolves around a resource where every component is being a resource that being accessed through the shared interface using standard HTTP methods. So in REST architecture, a REST server provides access to resource, and the REST clients access and make these resources available. So mainly I think these are the terminologies which you have to understand. REST servers, resources. Here each resource is identified by URIs or the global IDs, or the REST uses multiple ways to represent resource such as text, JSON or XML. JSON nowadays are most popular representations of resources. So whatever resources you are using, you are passing the resources in form of query parameters, like what parameters, that is also called your resource. And then what you need, like if you see Google and images, so that is also resource you are looking for. Whatever you are looking for, that is also called a resource. So it like in the JSON, if you are sending a JSON and you need the data for this many things, so you are sending in the payload you are sending while creating a data. So that is also a resource you are sending. So that is also resource in the form of details, the parameters, whatever in the form of payload, in the form of URL query parameters you are sending it, that is also called a resource. Okay, what is RESTful web services? So mostly there are 2 kinds of web services which should be remembered in your API testing interview. It is SOAP and web services developed in REST style. So first is simple object access protocol, an XML based method to expose the web services. And web services deployed in REST style are referred to as a RESTful web services. These web services use HTTP methods to implement the concept of REST architecture. A RESTful web services usually define the URI, uniform resource identifier. A service provide resource representation like JSON and a set of HTTP method. So resource is also called your HTTP method, which is put, post, delete, get, all those HTTP methods. So what is resource in REST? Now we are gonna understand what is resource. So REST architecture treats any content as a resource, which can be either text file, HTML pages, images, videos, or dynamic business information. So REST servers give access to resources and modifies them, where each resource is identified by URIs and global IDs. So this is how resource. There will be a more definitions of resource. I've already explained it about the resource in my previous question. So what is the most popular way to represent a resource in a REST? So REST uses different representations to define a resource, like text, JSON, XML. XML and JSON are the most powerful. I think the same question. So we want you to learn. So that's the reason we have to like keep on repeating. Which protocol is used? Protocol is used by RESTful web services. So RESTful web services using HTTP protocol as a medium of communication between client and server. Okay, HTTP method is being used, like your get, post, right, and HTTP protocol. What are the some key characteristics of REST? The key characteristics of REST are likely asked in web services, like in the interview. So REST is statelessness. They are stateless, and therefore the server has no status or the session data. With a well applied REST API, the server could be restarted between two calls since all data is transferred to the server. Web services uses post method primarily to perform operations, while REST uses get for accessing the resources. What is the messaging in RESTful web services? So RESTful web services using HTTP protocol as a communication tool between the client and the server. The technique that when the client sends a message in the form of HTTP request, the server sends back the HTTP reply is called messaging. Okay, these messages comprises message data, metadata, that is information on the message itself. So I have shown you, right, the messages, everything. There we will not have much, but if you see in the response, right, in the response tab, you will have the messages or something which is being coded by the developer, so you will see it. What are the core component of an HTTP request? It contains 5 key elements. Okay, so action showing HTTP method like get, put, post, delete, uniform URI, uniform resource identifier, HTTP version, v1 for example, HTTP v1 request header which carries metadata as a key value pair, like key value pair as JSON or metadata for the HTTP request. Messages, metadata could be client type, format supported by the client, and format of a request, message body, cache, chatting, and so on. Request body, which indicates the message content or resource representation. So what are the most commonly used HTTP methods supported by REST? So it's get, post, put, delete options. Head, get only used to request data from the specified resource. Get request can be cached, bookmarked, and it remains in the browser history and has a length restrictions. Get request should never be used when dealing with sensitive data. Okay. Post is used to send data to server to create update a resource. Post requests are never cached and bookmarked and do not remain in the browser history. So these are the questions, like you should be knowing what call is doing what and how it is being performed. So that can be your interview question as well. Put replaces all the correct representation of the target. Resource with the request payload. Delete, remove the specified resource. Option is used to describe the communication options for the target resource. Had asked for the responsible identical to that of get request but without the response body. Can get request to be used instead of put to create a resource? The put or post method should be used to create a resource. Okay, put can also be used, but for the representation purpose we use put if you update anything so that other person can understand you have updated the data by using a put. Get is only used to request the data from the spec, like to retrieve the data. Is there any difference between put and post operation? Put and post, this is very important question asked in many interviews. Put and post operations are quite similar except the terms of the result generated by them. So put operation is idempotent, I don't know what is it. So you can, I just, this slide has been created with no lens. So you can cache the response, while response to post operations are not cacheable. If you retry the request n times, you will end up with n resources with n different URIs created on the server. In Web API Tensor, you should be giving a specific example for put and the post operations to make crystal clear to the interview below the example. So scenario, let's say we are designing a network application. So let's list down few URIs and their purpose to get to know when to use post, when to use put operations. Okay. So device management device. So get all devices, create new devices. So get all devices, create new devices. So like when we send get right, and then update the device, okay, delete device, these are the things. So get all device we will be using get, create a new device we'll be using post, get all device we will be again by id or anything you will have like parameters, but again you will be using get. Update the device you will be using a put, delete the device you will be using a delete. So I think there was one more slide. So which purpose does the option method serve for the RESTful web service? The option method lists down all the operations of a web service supports. It creates a read-only request to the server. So what is the URI and what is the main purpose of REST-based web services and what it is format? So URI2 for the URI like Uniform Resource Identifier. It is a string of a character designed by unambiguous identifications of the resource and extensibility via URI schema. The purpose of URI is to locate the resource on the server, like find the out karna, URI find out karna ki server pe like where the resource is, hosting on the web services, URI format like protocol, service, resource type, resource ID. So what is payload in RESTful web services? The payload is the data you are interested in transporting, and this is the differentiated from the things that wraps the data for transport like HTTPS, request response, header, authentication, etc. What is the upper limit for payload to pass into the post? Get appends the data to the service URL, but its size shouldn't exceed the maximum URL length. However, post does not have such limit. Okay, get ki hoti hai limit. So there theoretically a user can pass unlimited data as the payload to post a method. But if we consider the real use case, then sending a post with a large payload will consume more bandwidth. It will take more time and present performance challenges to your service. Hence, user should take action accordingly. So these are the very, very important question, guys. It will be like 1 or 2 questions from my previous videos or from today's video. I think that's for sure you'll be having around 4 or 5 questions. Like maybe from my upcoming videos also. So if you're watching this series of API testing questions, I think you're sorted for your interview. So if you're watching it, it will be very good. If you're not watching it, please watch this. I think this will be really helpful. And thank you for watching, and thank you all my subscriber, and please like, share and comment so that it will give me little motivations to make more videos. And yeah, thank you so much, guys.